This is making toast. This is easy. This is frying an egg. This is also easy. This is sweet picking. This is not so easy, but don't worry, because today I'm going to make it more easy for you. You're watching Wodda TV, and today I'm kind of going to do like a beginner's guide to sweet picking. Now what sweet picking is basically instead of strumming a chord where you're playing all of the notes, sweet picking can be where you are playing each note of a chord separately in like a sweeping motion. For example, this is me strumming a D minor chord. This is me sweeping a D minor chord. As you can see, each note is being played separately there for a sweeping pattern. So I hear a lot of guitarists can get quite frustrated with this technique and a bit impatient, usually because they tend to try and play it too quickly, trying to be the next Yngwie Malmsteen, which is really not the way of achieving this technique at all. In fact, the best way to achieve any technique on the guitar, a good speed, high speed, low speed, whatever, is always to start off slow. You know, if you can play anything on the guitar at a slow tempo than what it actually is, you're actually 50% already there getting that riff or lick, whatever it is, down, because you're avoiding the mistake. So obviously the key is to be able to play whatever the technique or riff is at a slower tempo, maybe half or even more than half of what the original tempo is, and then gradually, set a practice routine or target to achieve this over a weekly or monthly basis. So, get a metronome, practice with a metronome, and you may maybe go up 10 BPM a week on this technique. If you can progress doing a particular technique or riff by 10 BPM every week, then that's actually some really good progress, because then if you've only got 50 BPM to go to mastering a particular riff or lick, then that's 5 weeks. That's not so long as you're putting the hard work and time practicing to get it down. So enough of that, going back into sweep picking in general. The best way I'd start with sweep picking is maybe just start with a 5-string major arpeggio, which goes like this. You put your pinky on the 12th fret of the A string, your 3rd finger on the 11th fret of the D string, and this, by the way, before I go into this is something you're going to play like with each note separately, so I'm just telling you the pattern. So you'll have pinky on the 12th fret of the A, your 3rd finger on the 11th fret of the D, your 1st finger on the 9th fret of the G string, your 2nd finger on the 10th fret of the B string, and your 1st finger on the 9th fret of the high E. So altogether you've got these notes. Now with sweep picking, in terms of the way you use your picking hand to sweep, at the very beginning it's actually a very difficult process to kind of start getting this down. Your right hand just feels totally useless, and so a way that I've come up with to kind of battle this and help a bit is from watching Joe Satriani many years ago when I first started playing guitar. He's actually got a song that he done quite a few years back called The Mystical Potato Head Groove Thing. You might have already heard of it. And what he tends to do with the arpeggio in that song is, instead of necessarily sweeping it with the right hand, he just plays it with his left hand. So I kind of watched him do this. I don't know how to play that actual arpeggio itself, but it made me think to myself, well, if I can get the actual arpeggio down itself with my left hand first, then basically that's kind of 50% of getting the arpeggio down, apart from the picking process. But on the left hand side, because you're getting your fingers familiar with the arpeggio shape. So what I want you to do is start off. I want you to take your right hand and I just want you to kind of put it over all of the strings on the top of the neck. I don't want you to press down on the strings at all. I basically just want you to cover the strings with your right hand. At the same time as doing this, I now then want you to slowly start getting this arpeggio down with the left hand, practicing slowly. So again, this will feel really awkward on the left hand at first, but keep your thumb behind the neck. So I will go through the arpeggio again. This is a 5-string major arpeggio, A major arpeggio. You're going to put your pinky on the A, just tap it. Then you're going to you're going to be hammer on all these notes, by the way, sorry. So going back to this, so you hammer on the 12th fret of the A, hammer on the 11th fret of the D string, the 9th fret, hammer on the 9th fret of the G string with your index finger on the G string, hammer on the 10th fret of the B string with your second finger, and hammer on the 9th fret of the high E with your first finger. So again, and going back to the A and D string again, pinky on the 12th fret of the A and your third finger on the 11th fret of the D. And carefully, I mean, if you've not got a metronome, then don't worry about it. You can still kind of practice this slowly if you just maybe tap your foot or just kind of get a rhythm in your head. I kind of just want you to slowly play the arpeggio with your left hand, so you could just go as slow as this. So before I go any further as well, I've kind of realised I need to tell you the rest of the arpeggio, which is, sorry, when you get to the 9th fret of the high E with your first finger, you're then going to hammer on the 12th fret of the high E with your pinky, and then you're going to pull off again back to the 9th fret of the high E. So you've got this. So far you've got this. Again, at that speed that will be difficult, so remember, just start off slow and go like this. And then going back up, obviously after you've pulled off 12 to the 9, you've already played the 9 again, so you will go back, second finger on the 10th fret of the B, 9th fret, your first finger on the 9th fret of the G, your third finger on the 11th fret of the D, and your pinky on the 12th fret of the A again. So all together at a slow pace, you have got this. Now, as I said before, I mean, even at that tempo, you know, you will find that extremely difficult at first if you're a complete beginner at playing arpeggios and sweep picking at guitar. So, as I kind of said earlier, what you should kind of do at first is just get a metronome, which I'm going to put on now, and roughly set this to starting off at about 50 BPM. And slowly I'll demonstrate this arpeggio again and kind of just work at doing it at this pace. Probably go even slower than that actually to help you. Go on 40 BPM. So that is kind of how you would practice it, 4/4, maybe start even slower than that again at 30 BPM. I mean, depending on how confident you are with your left hand with hammer-ons and pull-offs.